back in the day, our family used to run that we would use all the resources to help one person, then we would all rally to support the other person. That's how it always worked until the last 10 years or so. And all of a sudden it's been about, well, my estate, and everybody needs their own estate.
Even though I have a tremendous amount of excitement, there's a huge amount of dread as I bring these ideas forward. Why? Because for me, this was one of those epiphanies that kind of occurred to me where I said, wow, I finally figured it out. And then it was, oh no, that's probably right. Okay. In this video, I want to talk about the Brown family finances. Now, let's just be very honest. As I've said before in many of my disclaimers during the course of my videos, I'm not a personal friend, nor am I an accountant of the Brown family. Okay. They don't call me up and tell me about what they're purchasing and where their money is going to. The way that I'm coming to my conclusions is based on my observations on things that I've seen on this show, things I've heard the Brown family say on the show, and how they are reporting it. This is where I'm drawing my information from and where I'm making my assessment. This is part of the reason why legal advice, psychological advice, or anything of that nature doesn't really hold a lot of water when it comes to these types of analysis of strangers. Okay. I don't care who you are, what your degree is. If you don't know them and you don't talk to them, it's very difficult for you to be able to analyze exactly what's going on and pinpoint it. You might be able to say that they have certain traits for sure, but it becomes like your diagnosis is a little light at best. Okay. So I want to have that in there because we're doing this merely as a recreational exercise, kind of a thought mind exercise. Okay. Now, as we get into it, I want to be very clear. I'm going to present my case, not because I believe in the things that Kody and Robyn have done. I think that they're right. I think it's okay. That's absolutely not the case. I am not defending them. I am merely putting myself in the position that I would be in if they walked into a building and in that building was a firm of some sort that had to represent the interests of Robyn and Kody. And I worked for that firm and my boss or somebody who took the case came in and said, James, these are the facts. I want you to look at them and tell me what you think. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Kind of dusting off the old hat, going back to some of my old professional skills. All right. So here we go down the line. I would ask that you guys look at this, not as people who have watched this show for 19 seasons and have preferences and certain prejudices against certain characters. Okay, I want you to look at this logically, and I want you to explore this with me using your common sense. Okay. We have to look at it, take all the names and the histories and the personalities out of it and just look at it for what it is. Now, the first thing that really strikes me is that when we started talking about the OG3 seeking legal advice or going to get an accountant or getting a forensic accountant to go through the books, I have called for these things. So I'm not throwing shade. I've called for these things. The reality of it is there may be a very good reason as to why when they did go see a lawyer, because I know that we're not the only ones thinking this. Janelle has even talked about lawyers a few times on this, even in this season. So I know we're not the only ones thinking about it, but so I'm not going to pretend that it was my idea and Janelle stealing my idea. She must be watching my videos. When you go to an attorney, the attorney isn't going to ask you, wow, you're a really nice person. Let me help you. The attorney is going to ask you what the facts of the case are. And when they look at it, the big problem that I think that they would encounter comes not from what's right and fair. Those 4 words, what is right, what are 5 words, what is right and fair. I think it comes down to 3 words. The family fund. When you look at the family fund, this is a term that they've been kicking around since season 1, episode 3. They've always talked about the family fund. Oh, when we have it, we just kind of pool our money together. And when one of us needs something, we just give it to that person and then so on and so forth. And all of our needs somehow are met through the family fund. Now, why is this important? Especially as we get into the point of everybody buying houses and property and a lot of the money being seemingly being corralled by Robyn and Kody. Why is this important? Because it speaks to the mindset of them entering into this agreement, because that's what it would be. Everything comes down to a violation of agreement or contract law or basic contract law. And part of that is the meeting of the minds. What is the purpose of this thing? What is what are you getting out of it? What's the exchange, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The compensation, et cetera, et cetera. So when we get into it, the mindset is we're going to create this fund to help each one of the family members. And that's what it's designed to do. When they were in the Lehigh house, it made more sense. It was very clear. You pool your money because with that money, you're paying the mortgage, you're paying utilities, you're paying possibly car notes. You could be paying insurance for the cars. You could be paying relative insurances for the kids, medical expenses, so on and so forth. And then anything that comes in extra, that could be tied to each one of the parents and become their responsibility. Meaning as the head of each one of those families, like the subhead, I guess we'll call it, because Kody technically is the head because he's the patriarch. But the subhead of each one of those families, the mothers, would be responsible for taking care of those particular households. And if they're all under one roof, it makes things a lot easier and a lot cleaner. However, as Robyn comes into the family and she lives down the street around the corner, and they have to take money from the family fund to help provide shelter to her kids and help provide the needs and necessities that Robyn's household has, especially after she marries Kody, then the family fund is activated and becomes a part of Robyn's situation as well. Now, let's not make any bones about it. A lot of the TLC money, the TLC checks, were most likely being deposited into the family fund, which gave Kody and Robyn, and this is where we always stand, this gave Kody and Robyn access to the other wives' money. They had access to those other resources. So when the OG3 left Kody, they took their money out of they didn't take their money from the family fund. They just stopped their money from being deposited to the family fund, which would, in fact, hurt Kody and Robyn because they no longer have that source of income coming in. So even if they blow through the money which existed in the family fund, they don't have new money coming in to replace it. That becomes problematic. Now, when we look later on in the series, and we established that the family fund, let's just say, is designed to pay utilities and it's designed to provide housing for each one of the wives. Just that. They pool their money together and they draw from the family fund, and this is how they make the down payments for the houses in Las Vegas. And each one of the wives gets an equal home. But there was a time when Meri had that conversation talking about family money.
Frustrated because Meri and Mariah, their rent will cost as much as Christine's or Janelle's, and housing a much bigger family. Why did Meri get that expensive a place and she's only got one child?
Meri logically knew that she should go into a smaller house that costs less. But ultimately, regardless of maybe that we give and take a little bit economically, she deserved to have the home that was important to her.
Meri had expressed that, it's fair that I've been contributing to the family and I'm a member of the family and I wanted to have more kids, but I didn't have more kids. So I shouldn't be punished for not having more kids. So I should be getting an equal house, the same size as everybody else. And everybody else agreed to that. The money that she was talking about was use of the family funds. She wanted to make sure that her home was commensurate with the other women's homes. It didn't matter what her necessary need was. She just wanted to have a bigger house. And because it was for housing purposes, she was allowed to have a bigger house. When they went to the cul-de-sac, they all basically got the same house. Now, some of them made different changes. They were allowed, Meri and Robyn actually got bigger houses than Janelle and Christine, ironically, but they were all basically essentially the same house. Now, when they get out to Arizona, and this is after Meri divorces Kody and gives her mantle of the legal wife to Robyn, Then all of a sudden they get out to Arizona. All the houses in Las Vegas are being sold. And this is where I have that epiphany. How did Janelle and Meri give Kody and Robyn the down payment for the McMansion? I think that that's very important. Because if they gave the money to Meri and Janelle, Meri and Janelle stroked out a check and handed checks over to Robyn and Kody, and then Robyn and Kody said to their mortgage company, "Oh, this was a gift. This was money I don't have to pay back," et cetera, et cetera. And Meri and Janelle said, "Oh, this is an investment. This is money that you still owe me back. I have a stake in the McMansion. I want some of the McMansion money." Then that would become fraud. That's a real legal issue for Kody and Robyn. But how could they sidestep it without that being a gift? If they utilized or took money from the family fund. So if Meri and Janelle came in, they deposited money into the family fund, Kody and Robyn, as they've done as a family historically, took money from the family fund and deposited into their accounts so that they could purchase Robyn's house for the express purpose of purchasing Robyn's house. Even though that money technically belonged to Janelle and Meri and was a contribution towards the family fund, if Robyn and Kody took from the family fund and put it in their accounts so that they could pay for housing, which is something the family fund was built to do, then that could eliminate any need for Robyn and Kody to have to pay that money back or give that money back to Janelle and Meri. Why? I know some people are losing their mind. What are you talking about, James? If they took the money, because if that's what the money is there for, that's what it's there for. If the account was set up so that I could have access to certain sums of money so that I can buy my own home or purchase my own home, then that's what the account is set up for. And I'm just utilizing the account. As a perfect example, Christine, when she bought her house, and Janelle and I think Meri had said, well, Christine used some of my money to buy some of the family's money to buy her house. I think it was the family fund money. So when Christine utilized the family fund to purchase her house and put it in her name, and she didn't give the family back their deposits or the money that they invested or whatever the case may be. Now, we could argue that Christine sold her house and she repaid the money. I get that. But if the purpose of the family fund was to allow Christine to purchase her home and then she just merely put money back into the family fund, then that's just her contributing to the family fund. Those are two separate transactions, two separate things. And if I was in Kody's position or on Kody's, I work for a team that was representing Kody or working for Kody, that's what the argument I think would be. It wasn't a contribution to Christine or it wasn't a contribution to Kody and Robyn. It was a contribution that Janelle and Meri made when they sold their homes to the family fund, per usual, as they've done historically. Meri or Kody and Janelle or Kody and Robyn. I'm running through everybody's name. That's how you tell you're getting older. Well, Kody and Robyn took the money from the family fund, not from Meri and Janelle. And this is where Christine walks away with a clean slate, and potentially Robyn and Kody could walk away with a clean slate. Some people will say, yeah, but this money was supposed to be an investment. This is what Robyn said.
The whole plan at that point was for that home, my home, to be kind of an asset for the family. Eventually, when I'm built out on the property, it was never supposed to end up being something that was just mine.
Pay very close attention to the condition that she places on the transfer of her property to the family.
My home to be kind of an asset for the family. Eventually, when I'm built out on the property.
And this is where, to be honest with you, attorneys probably would hate the fact that they're on a reality show just kind of saying whatever runs through their mind or what makes them look good at the time. So you will have those contradictory statements. And I could see that. Initially, the thought process was they were going to buy Robyn's house as an investment property for the family, quote unquote, and then she was going to build on Coyote Pass. But that doesn't negate Robyn's ownership of the McMansion. Why do I say that? She never completed the condition for the transfer. They never built on Kody Pass. In addition, as Janelle revealed earlier in this season, when it came time for Robyn to purchase her home.
When I put the money into the house, I said, well, I think it would be fair if all of our names were on the mortgage. And he's like, no, we need to protect Robyn's estate. She needs to have it so it's hers, and so it's ours.
This is from Janelle. Kody objected and said he wanted to secure Robyn's estate, which means that the house would belong to Robyn. And according to Janelle's own statement, she agreed with that. That was an agreement because she went along with it. We also get into a problem later on where you say, well, they didn't agree that they were going to just give this house to Robyn and it was just going to be hers and they were going to have any interest in the house and it wasn't fair, et cetera, et cetera. The problem that I think you would have is that, one, were Janelle and Meri aware that Robyn had purchased the home? Yes. Were they aware that Robyn and Kody, because we a lot of times put it all on Robyn, but Robyn and Kody utilized family funds to purchase the home? Yes. Did you disagree with that purchase? Well, I didn't like it. No. Did you disagree with and dispute that purchase or use of the family funds? And if you say yes, then the next question obviously would be, what did you do as far as your disagreement? Do you have emails? Do you have text messages? Do you have evidence to show that you didn't want or disagreed with the use of family funds towards the purchase of Robyn's home? And if you don't have those things, or you didn't have a problem with it because you thought you were going to move forward as a family and they were going to sell the house and use it as a rental property for the retirement of the family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, then you were okay with it. And again, if you weren't okay with it, my next question would be, if you're not okay with the purchase of the home and you aren't okay with the use of the family funds and you think that they stole money from the family funds, let me ask you this. When did you stop contributing to the family funds? If you're turning your check over to somebody and putting it into their bank account, and you find out they're misusing that account or using it in a way that you don't agree with, why would you continue to put your paycheck into said account? They're already proving themselves disworthy or untrustworthy, disloyal or whatever, dishonest. So why would you continue to put money into that account? That would be a question that they would have to answer, especially if Janelle didn't stop putting money into the account until the explosion at her apartment, which was years later after the initial purchase was made. And this is where timing kind of comes in. And I think that this is where Kody kind of soft pedaling and soft shoeing and slow talking a lot of the ownership details, a lot of the development on Kody Pass, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we could talk about fairness and rightness and wrongness. It's not fair because Christine and Meri, or Janelle and Meri, didn't have buy houses. This is true. But my question would be, did they have the option to buy houses? Was this a decision that they made? Now, in Meri's case, she said she wanted to rent a house. She wasn't really pressed about purchasing a home. And it never came off that way. She didn't ever sound like she was pressed about buying a home out there in Arizona. If she built something or she actually purchased a house, then she would have built a house out on Kody Pass. And that would have been her house. From what I understood, the $5,000 a month that she was paying in rent was actually still coming out of the family fund. So she was receiving some benefit from the family fund as far as her rental in Arizona. As far as Janelle, well, Janelle didn't have anything to show for it. Janelle refused to purchase a home because if you recall, there was a time when Christine had sold her house, was trying to sell her house, and Kody was talking about, hey, let's buy this house. And Janelle refused to purchase that home. Or when she moved out of her second rental, Kody, instead of her buying a RV, Kody was talking about her purchasing a home. How was she going to purchase the home? She was going to use family funds to purchase the home. Now, some say, well, I get the argument that what Janelle was trying to do was she was trying to save her money so that they could pay off Kody Pass. And that makes sense. I'm not disagreeing with that. But the problem you have is if Kody is offering you money or access to money in the form of the family fund that he himself and Robyn have utilized, that Christine has utilized, and that money is available to you, and you decide you don't want to take that money because in your mind you want to do something else, and that's your motivation. You want to do something else with your share of that money or that use of the family fund, so you don't take advantage of it. Then the problem is that the responsibility of that shifts from Kody and Robyn to Janelle. And it pains me to say that. It will become her issue. Like, Kody offered you the money, you didn't want to take it, then how is it Kody's fault that you didn't take the money? Or you don't have anything to show for it as you leave the family? He tried to put something in your name. Technically, if we're going to be honest, he wasn't going to just put it in Janelle's name. It was going to be in his name too. I get that. So I totally get that. The problem that she has is that she never took those steps, so we never would know. This is my suspicion. I can't prove it because they never did it. And that's one of the issues that I have. I mean, I can run this whole thing over and over again, but I'm looking for what you guys have to say. Do you think I'm onto something? Do you think I'm wrong? Now, the whole issue that I'm presenting is the idea of the family fund. And I want you to think of the family fund. Before I turn it over to you guys to get your comments, I want you to think of the family fund as a joint account. I talked before about this being a joint account because let's keep in mind, even though on the show they call themselves wives and he's the husband and they're all one big family, in reality, there's friends or strangers or associates. Technically, there's no familial tie. Like yes, he has kids with some of them. He technically has kids with all of them. Only listed 6 kids with Janelle and 1 child with Meri, and Christine kids. He's not on any of the birth certificates. But let's say he's father to 13 kids. This isn't a child support or child custody case. So that's not what we're talking about. So that kind of goes away. The idea that they're friends or loose family. Anytime you deal with friends and loose family, always have a strict contract. You want to lay out everything is going to be used for. If you open an account with a friend or a family and it's a joint account, I suggest that you have it very clear as to what the money will be used for, what the money won't be used for. If it's a business type account, which is what it seems like they try to pretend that this family fund was, they're going to run it like a business. If you're going to run it like a business, you want to have certain agreements in place as far as the account and use of the account. I had the privilege of having several jobs where I had credit cards for jobs, I had business accounts, et cetera, and I had use of those things. I could use those accounts however I deemed fit, but I had to justify it at the end of the day. And there were rules and guidelines to the use of those funds. I couldn't use my credit card to go pay my mortgage for my house, even if I did work from home. I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain rules and guidelines that you have to adhere to. So, like, as a suggestion, for the family fund, you can make purchases up to $1,000 in 1 month using or drawing from the personal account for personal issues or expenses that come up, takeout food or whatever the case may be. You have up to $1,000 a month, which can be unauthorized or unsupported. But anything over $1,000 requires 2 signatures or a clear majority of the family stakeholders in order for you to make those purchases or make those withdrawals or transactions in the account. Meaning that in order for you to do it, say take money out of the family fund for a home deposit, you have to have 3 of the 5 adults agree that this is something that needs to be done. That could be it's a simple contract. It could be an easy way for them to lay things out and it would have made things a lot easier. But because things were done the way they were done and things are as messy as they are, it becomes very muddled. If you look at the account of, say, joint account, like I mentioned before, to close that circle, if you look at a joint account, if I open a joint account with any one of you and I have my entire paycheck going into that joint account and you put in $5, and we run this joint account for several months, and then each time my check goes in, the account gets bigger and bigger, and your side of the account is smaller and smaller. The problem is it's not your side of the account. If it's a joint account, you have access to all of it. Not just the money I put in or not just the money you put in. You have access to everything. So if you decide, oh, you know what I want to do? I want to book a trip and I want to buy a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation Xbox or the Xbox PlayStation combo game with the reality sensors and all that good stuff, bells and whistles, and you clean that account out because you're buying entertainment stuff, there's very little, if anything, I can do. Actually, there's nothing I can do because your name is on the account. If it's a joint account, it's a joint purchase, you can't even make the argument that Robyn purchasing the McMansion is outside the purpose of the account. If the purpose of the account is to pay for needs, necessities, including shelter. Because that's what, if you recall, that's one of the things Kody said. This house is to house my children. That's why I purchased this house, to house my children. That would be shelter for the family, which would fall in line with the purpose of the family fund. So it's a full use, authorized use of the family funds. That's not a misappropriation of funds. There's also a point where you could say that you talk about like intentions. Well, clearly Janelle and Meri didn't intend to walk away with nothing. That's all fine and good. But at the end of the day, are they mad now because about the purchase of the McMansion and how Kody was utilizing the family fund? Are they mad now because the relationship fell apart? Because clearly, had Kody done the right thing by the family and had he stayed with Meri, they wouldn't have a legal action. The only reason why they're upset now and talk about lawyers now is because things didn't work out the way they wanted it to work out. It's not necessarily because Kody did this thing and it was against the rules. It's just that he did this thing and now the relationship is falling apart and now they're trying to extract what they put into the relationship. And this is where it gets crazy, crazy jacked up, especially as you walk into court systems, because it's not always about what's fair and what's right. It's about what's legal. Legally, if this was a family fund that was available to each one of the wives and each one of the wives had an opportunity to use or utilize the family fund to pay for their rent, pay for their shelter, and Kody and Robyn decided that they were going to purchase a home as opposed to renting a home because this is what they wanted to do with their portion of the family fund, then it's kind of a wash. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think I'm on to something? Do you think I went too far? Let me know down below. Don't be mad at me. Don't write, oh, all of a sudden I'm on Kody's side, because that's not what this is about, okay? Give me your takes on why you think I may be right, why you may think I'm wrong, what your position is, and how you think the OG3 might be able to get around the proposition that I'm laying out. I'm looking forward to hearing your answers, y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video, because I want to get as many people as possible on this issue, so we can all figure it out with that collective community mind. That's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality, and I'm out.
'Cause I've been living life